Hello friends, welcome to Dr.RAjeshverma's YouTube channel. In this particular video, I'll be talking about with you something about trial and error learning. It's a very important concept in psychology. As far as learning is concerned, when you learn, how you learn. So there is a theory generally known as the trial and error learning. That it was given by, okay, we'll be discussing in the subsequent slides all these issues. So I'm going to make it crystal clear for you what is trial and error learning and what are its laws and famous experiments and all everything. So let us start with the meaning of trial and error learning. Do you know the meaning? The C. Lloyd Morgan in 1852, 1930, up to the 1936, a British ethologist and psychologist devised this phrase, that is trial and error learning. You know who devised? Morgan. Now, trial and error means committing errors while trying to achieve a goal or solve a problem. So sometimes, not sometimes, it's almost every time when you solve a problem, we come up with various solutions. We try various solutions. That the solutions which can't solve the problem is known as the error. So due to that, we try next one. Again, we didn't succeed in solving the problem. Then we try next one. And finally, in this way, we come up with the best fit solution to the problem. And that is known as, that whole process is known as the TNL or trial and error learning. Fundamentally, the trial and error learning is a method of finding solution to a problem, which I told you. The solution seeker tries and applies various methods until a suitable solution is found, which I told you. Sometimes you forget the password of your email address. What do? You try, oh, this was the password. No, you try next one. You try next one. And finally, it's a hurrah moment where you find, this works. And that's come to the solution. So this way, whatever we have learned in this process is known as the trial and error learning. Let us go for some introductory part as far as the psychology is concerned. These whole thing we're talking about the general idea of trial and error learning. What psychology says, every living organism engage in this method to deal with the challenges thrown open by the life. You know, life gives you challenges at every step. जिंदगी हर कदम पर आपको चुनौतियां देती है, समस्याएं देती है. And the point is to deal with that, to overcome with that, to have a quality of life, you have to solve these problems, you have to find out the solution to these challenges. And we do that too. In psychology, TNL learning theory was propounded by the Thorndike. He was known as the educational psychologist. This theory is also known as the stimulus response theory. You know what is stimulus? Event or situation that stimulates you to do something or to respond. And what your response comes due to that stimulus is known as the response. So it's also known as the SR theory or the bond theory of learning. In his doctoral thesis, when he was doing PhD, in his PhD thesis on animal intelligence in 1898, he just suggested the concept of T and E learning, that is trial and error learning. He said that learning occurs due to the formation of connection between the networks or neural networks between stimulus and response. There are neural networks in our system. That is the brain system that we have the connection gets connected between stimulus and response, and due to that the learning occurs. He negated the role of consciousness, reasoning or thinking in learning, which is termed as a mechanical process. So it's a very important one. Sometimes you will be asked in examination questions, who propounded the theory of T and E learning, trial and error learning? You must say Thorndike. And who proposed this phrase, particularly T and trial and error, by the Morgan? So you must know that. So these are some introductory part. Now let's just discuss some characteristics of T and E learning or trial and error learning. First one is on your screen, that is solution oriented, because T and E learning is always oriented toward the solution. Individual or the organism try to find out the solution to the problem in or his subsequent or consequent attempts. So first is, second is the problem specific. T&E learning makes no attempt to generalize the a solution to the problem. Means if you find a solution to the problem, it doesn't need quite to be generalized because it's a problem specific one, T&D learning. And the third characteristics of the T&D learning is this is on your screen. That is non-optional. That's non-optimal. T&D is generally an attempt to find a solution. Not all solution and not the best solution. The best point is to a problem in T&D learning. This is a very important point. The individual tries to find out the only solution, not the best solution and not all solution. They try to find out how you come up with, you solve this problem. Sometimes your tire is a flat. So the first point is how you start rolling your tire. That is the only point. It may be through the changing the tire, or it may be getting through the repair, or it may be some other means of just inflating it with your pump and just start moving on. So the point is the solution is not optimal one. The point is you have to find out this solution. So that was the aim and objective as far as T&D is concerned. And the fourth characteristics, it is there on the screen, that is needs little knowledge. You need not to have a comprehensive knowledge of the problem or the as per the subject or domain of the problem. Then you need to have a minimal knowledge. That is, trial and error can proceed where there is little or knowledge of the subject. Okay, so you can proceed with this type of learning whether you have a comprehensive knowledge of the subject or you have very little of knowledge of the subject. So the next will be the experiment, the famous experiment or the watershed event. As far as T&D learning is concerned, we'll be discussing that experiment that paved the way for the development of this theory, that is T&E learning. In the classic experiment, Thorndike placed a hungry cat inside a puzzle box. He divided the puzzle box. He placed that cat in the puzzle box and locked the door. Okay, a piece of fish was placed just outside the puzzle box, just outside. But it was beyond the reach of the paw of the cat. So to reach the fish, the cat was required to open the door by pressing a lever or pulling a loop. There are two options. Either you press a lever or pull a loop. In that case, the door will open and cat can reach for the fish. And because cat was forced to reach the fish by her biological drive of hunger, she was trying. Initially, the cat showed random behavior. The cat slashed the bars, wailed and poured the movable parts of the case, and they tried to come out through the bars also. Everything she tried. That was a random behavior. You know what happened next? You know this experiment, but we must remember, we must learn this experiment to study historical parts as to how that trial and error learning come into being. During this, the cat's paw was accidentally fell on the lever of the door. That was purposefully designed in such a manner that the moment the lever is pressed, the door will get open. And cat ran to the fish and ate that. So this was the process. On the next day too, the cat was again placed in the puzzle box, and this way similarly, the cat was intelligent enough or smart enough to learned quickly to satisfy hunger by pressing the lever and escaping from the puzzle box for the fish. What Thorndike observed was, he was not observing that how and what amount of fish that cat is consuming. His main motto was that how much errors is committed, how much time she took, what was the behavior of the cat during this whole experiment. So he observed that in the subsequent trials, the time of escaping from the puzzle box was reduced significantly. The errors get reduced. At one time, there was a situation came when the moment cat was placed in the puzzle box, the cat immediately pressed the lever and escaped from the puzzle box. So this was the observation. These observations made the Thorndike come to a conclusion that during this whole process, the cat learned to open the door. That is, now it has become a permanent association between the stimulus and the response. What the stimulus was the lever. The response was the pressing by the paw. So that was the connection between the stimulus and response. and this way the cat learned to open the door of the puzzle box. Okay. Now, this experiment showed the learning was stamped in occurred by the trial and error. Thorndike said that these simple semi-mechanical phenomena with animal learning discloses are the fundamentals of human learning too, or human learning also. Means the way that animal learned through the trial and error, similarly we humans also learn. Okay, so this was the classic experiment. Along with that, these other experiments were also done to attest the theory given by the process, that the learning given by the Thorndike. Then Gopalaswamy conducted an experiment on the human subjects using the mirror drawing experiment. He took 6 trials by the right hand, then the left hand, and he collated the data with the intelligence. And he found that the higher learning, those people who are uh, efficient in higher learning, they have that correlates significantly with the intelligence, and the same thing was not found with the lower learning. Means that in humans also the learning occurs through the process of trial and error. That was shown by the Gopalaswamy using his using the mirror drawing experiment. You know what is mirror drawing experiment? If you do not know, you can watch one of my videos. I have given meticulous details and how to conduct this experiment, and when you collect the data, how to interpret the data in one of my videos. It is available on my channel, that is Dr.RAjeshverma. You can find on the YouTube. Then the second experiment was the Fundulus fish experiment. The fish is in front of you. What Thorndike has done is he made some vessel and filled with the water, and he divided that part of that that you can call it a big beaker or a big vessel with a transparent glass wall. Now, there is one important characteristic of this Fundulus fish is that they loves to live in the shade. They doesn't like to swim in the that is light. They avoid light. So what Thorndike intelligently has done is he made a round hole in the glass wall, and the fish, and placed that vessel in such a position that half of that vessel was under the sunshine and half was under the shade. So he kept purposefully the fish towards the sunshine area. The fish initially they came and strike to the glass wall, and with subsequent trials and efforts, they found the hole, and they one by one passed through the hole and reached the shaded area. And he again done the experiment repeatedly. He had done the experiment, placed the fish in the sunshine area, and after a while he found that the moment he placed the fishes, there is a situation came that fishes immediately traveled to the shaded area. So what is that? That also the attestation, vindication of the experiment done on the cat putting in the puzzle box. So these were some other experiments that were conducted to attest the trial and error learning on human subject as well as also, and it has been shown that it is found in almost all living beings and animals. Now, what are the primary laws that regulate the learning? Along with that, Thorndike suggested some primary laws. The first one is the law of readiness. It's a simple one, also known as the law of action tendency. The individual has to ready to learn for occurrence of learning. Means if you are ready to learn, then only a learning occurs. That is means readiness. That is the laws of readiness. Only if you are not ready, take the example of the classrooms. When sometimes you find that some students are ready to learn, whereas some students are they always busy with the talking with the teacher or try to sleep or something. They try to distract others. Means if you are not ready to learn, you won't going to learn. The first point is you have to make yourself ready to learn. So that is the law of the readiness. So readiness means you must be prepared. You must be psychophysiologically prepared for the action, for the learning. So that is your preparedness must be higher in you to get yourself learning. That is the only law of readiness. Very simple one. These are very simple laws given by Thorndike. Second was the law of exercise. It is also known as the law of use or disuse. Very simple. The more an individual engages in practice, the stronger the bond will become between stimulus and response, and leading to the occurrence of learning. Exercise by practice. Learning by practice. That is means the more you practice for the same phenomena, the better will be the association between the stimulus and response, and the learning will be occurring. So this was the second law. The third law is just it is there on your front screen. Law of effects. According to this law, if the individual is satisfied with the outcome of the response, effect, prabhav kya padta hai of the response, means if you are satisfied with your response, the response will be strengthened and vice versa. If take the example of puzzle box, the cat was satisfied with the response, her response that if pressing the lever helps in lifting the door and she can reach to the fish. So that is very satisfying, means that the cat was very happy to find that that fish was made for her and she satisfied her hunger. If instead of fish, if you have placed a box there and that box is the fish is inside the box, the moment the cat touches the box to catch the fish, and if you give a shock to her, in that case that response, that outcome was not satisfying, and certainly the trial and learning may not be occur in the cat in that case. So that is the important one. Effect means how that outcome is influencing your next or the subsequent behavior. Means if you are satisfied with the outcome, certainly you are going to learn, and vice versa is true. In the other words, the intensity of satisfaction accrued due to the response directly affects the learning. Okay, so now these were the basic laws of learning. Now the 5 subsidiary laws of learning given by the Thorndike. The first one, law of multiple responses. It's simple. It states that in any given situation, the organism will respond in a variety of ways if its first response does not lead immediately to a satisfactory solution. Just suppose, take the case of the cat. The cat was not satisfied with the first response. The individual has to engage in multiple responses in order to arrive at the best response, best fit solution to the problem. So this is the law of multiple responses. Second one, law of set or attitude. According to this law, learning is partly function of attitude or set. That is predisposition to react in a given way. We are genetically predisposed. We have their genetic structure in such a way, we as a particular species, they react to a particular situation as per their genetic structure. So we are predisposed to react to a situation, to a problem in a particular way. So this is the, if you put a hungry baby inside the puzzle box, he or she may try to scratch the bars or come out from that, but the moment he finds or she finds herself unsuccessful, she may try crying. That is a predisposed. We are predisposed to behave in that way. So this is the point. Law of set or attitude. And the third one is the law of prepotency of elements. What's that? According to this law, a learner reacts to only to the significant elements in a problem or situation and be undistracted by the irrelevant aspects of the situation. I'll explain that. The cat was placed in the puzzle box. There was a roof, there was a floor, and there was other things in the puzzle box. The cat was not responding to each and every stimulus. The color of the box, the wooden part of the box. There was a loop also. The cat was not responding to these stimuli. Means we are prepotent. Means we respond only to the what are the significant part of the stimulus. Suppose there is a car is going on the road. When you just have a glance at that, you are not going to watch the rotation of the tires, the color of the tires, or other parts of the stimulus. So we react to the only the significant part of the stimulus to come out with a solution to the problem at the end. So that is the law of prepotency of elements. And the fourth law is in front of you on your screen. The law of response by analogy. This law recognizes that a person placed in a novel situation, in a new situation, may react with responses that might be employed for other situations that are in some way similar or share identical elements. Suppose you are placed in a situation. So you are going to react to that situation as per that you have what are the responses you have employed previously in this similar situation. Suppose you are placed in a very dark situation, dark room. When you, by your responses, you try to find out the way out, how to dispel this darkness. So whether you are going to search for the switchman or you are going to search for the door, something that solution or your responses which has worked previously in the same situation. So that is the law of response by analogy. Okay, and the fifth and the last subsidiary law given by the Thorndike was the law of stimulus substitution or associative shifting. It recognizes that this law recognizes that it is possible to shift response from one stimulus to another. At particular stimulus, we are responding with particular response. You know that? But if you change the stimulus in that situation 2 or in the phenomena of that stimulus 2, we may or we are likely to apply the similar response. Means we can shift the response from one stimulus to another stimulus. That is a shifting one. Okay, that is if you are changing the stimulus, but we also change the response. Means we shift, not only change the response, we shift the response from one stimulus to another stimulus. So my dear friends and dear learners, these were the 5 subsidiary laws given by the Thorndike. And that ends my discussion here. So how we discussed the meaning of the trial and error phrase, who gave the trial and error phrase, the definition of trial and error, the trial and error learning, classical experiment, puzzle box, the other 2 more experiments discussed, the experiment by the Gopalaswamy, then the Fundulus fish experiment done by the Thorndike himself, the characteristics of trial and error learning, then the laws of the primary laws of learning, and its 5 subsidiary laws of the learning. So my dear friends, if you like this video, share with us. But if you dislike it or you want to say something to me, kindly share with me. Let me know, I can improve further my videos. So how will this share all this? You can write in the comment box or you can email me at vamasujit@yahoo.com. My dear friends, thank you for watching this video.